So I know you've been involved and are going to continue to be involved in a variety of different marketing directions or channels or strategies, whatever you want to call them. But you have definitely a strongest background in digital has been kind of your background.
Hmm.
So as a digital marketer, where ads are served online, you're using a channel or platform that already exists, like a social media channel or Google search engine or whatever, and you're getting buys into those channels. Obviously, you have to work within the parameters of what their ad platform or ad format looks like. For example, Google text or Google search ads have to be text based, limited on how many characters they are. Although you can add images now, which is they're kind of changing that, but it wasn't image based before, and like social media, Facebook, Instagram ads, you only have certain options for the buttons, like the call to action you can use. So my question for you is, no question, you can still get creative with it. Of course, you can use within the sandbox the parameters you have. You can try different things, but where you aren't able to just do whatever you want, you have to work within certain credentials or not credentials. Criteria is the word that they allow you to do. How important for you is the what I'm trying to think about is the balance of like ultimate creative concept campaign idea versus testability and like rinse and repeat what's working. Like how much does creativity do you think need to play a part in building out digital ads? Like a PPC ad, for example, where you can only say so much and you need to have a keyword base and like where does that fit into your approach as you build out ads? Is it just like fully keyword and change things a little bit so you can test and just change a little bit here and there, or do you try to think a big concept and promote it?
There's like 15 questions in your question. I think,
Yes, there is.
yeah, I think creativity is still hugely important, um, because because you're on a platform where you're competing for eyeballs. Like, you have to have something interesting to get attention. There's still wording that needs to be done in a way that says the right thing and says something that will get people to remember or click through. So, like, I think there's still a lot of importance to creativity there. And I would even go so far as to argue that those limitations, those borders, might force you to be even more creative if you're really trying. Like, if like these posters, for example, like if the artist was given an infinite size canvas to create something, like who knows what could come of that. But if you're told like you have this 16 by 18 rectangle to work within, what are you going to do with that? And so I feel like that's it actually like forces a little bit more creativity. That being said, in pretty much every agency I've worked in, so this is not singling out my current agency or anyone in particular, I don't think enough attention is paid to creativity. I think a lot of times we're saying exactly what needs to be done. We're finessing the words to be Google friendly, making sure we're following their rules, whatever. And then we're saying what needs to be said, but it's not like we're not always like thinking campaign holistically,
Yeah,
and that's um,
yeah.
part of the game we play too. Like, our clients aren't, you know, billion-dollar companies that can build multi-million
You
dollar
can only do so much.
campaigns. Yeah.
And it depends a lot, I think, about how you're able to target and how many different campaigns you can have running to be specific in targeting. Like one example that I think is pretty creative while being effective that I saw for Google search ads, and now I'm forgetting who actually ran whose brand it was, but it was an example I saw of for a smartphone. I can't remember if it was Apple running it for Android keywords or Android running it for like Google running it for Apple keywords. Can't remember, but there was you would type in one of those, like let's just say it was an Android ad. Or Google ad, you would type in like iPhone, whatever thing keyword, and they were targeting that keyword and said, did you mean to say, and they would say their brand, right? Or I think you meant this, and they said their brand instead, which is clever. Obviously, you didn't
That is
mean that, but
clever.
it's like they
Yeah.
would pop up there, and in the keywords, it had that name, and it was, um, a clever tongue-in-cheek way of saying, hey, come check this out instead. I think this is going to work better for you. I wondered how that play with all of Google's ever-changing algorithm about like um, uh, relevance, and like if you are trying to get people to go to if someone types in Apple iPhone and you take them to an Android page, are they going to say this is super not relevant? I'm not going to show this ad. I guess there's some risk in that. But if you saw that, it's clever enough at being like, oh, maybe I haven't fully considered the options, and that was one way I thought within a arguably the least creative ad platform maybe of all is like search ads, where it's just very to the point, keyword based. You have limited space. They use that small amount of real estate to do something that was kind of clever and personality driven.
Yeah, that is super clever, and I think there is, like you said, risk in that. Like you're not super relevant to what someone was searching for, because especially if you're like targeting another brand's keywords, there is going to be some relevancy issues there, but maybe you're compensating that with a high click-through rate, because both of those things are taken into account. So
Yeah,
if that ad was really getting attention and people were clicking through on it, Google would take that as a form of relevancy.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people were. I saw an article about it, so I guess it was someone was noticing it. But yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, I think we could all be more creative, um, but I don't think the platform limitations are stifling creativity. We just don't take
Yeah,
the time.
it's a chance to stand out. If less people are doing it, it's more of an opportunity to stand out by breaking the mold a little bit or using it more